The ADP employment numbers for November just came out and things are getting spicy in the job market. Now, ADP is automated data processing. They show the employment data information for 25 million American workers. It is the most used payroll service in America. That isn't the most clear picture because there's 331 million Americans. These numbers only represent for 25 million Americans. I could imagine a lot of companies have their own employment payroll systems that they develop internally like Amazon, but the numbers do show a lot that's happening in the employment number in America. Last month, we were expecting 200,000 jobs to be created in the job market. That was for November, and we beat those numbers last month with 239,000 jobs. But in November, we had the same expectation, 200,000, and we got 127,000 new jobs. That's a pretty big loss. Most of the loss was seen by large businesses. That's companies with 200 or more people. Small businesses also lost about 51,000 jobs, while medium-sized businesses saw the most growth. Those are companies between 50 and 200 people. I would suspect a lot of that could be the hospitality industry, but we'll talk about that in a second. It is good news for the market, the stock market, housing market, any sort of market that involves investments or interest rates, but it is bad news for people looking for a job. This means unemployed people can expect more competition for fewer jobs on the job market. And it also means people are less likely to quit their job because of all these layoffs happening. There's more fear in leaving the job. For a majority of 2022, we saw 2 jobs for every 1 employed person. That means that one unemployed person has at least 2 options. That's not really good for the employment market. That means that employees have to compete more to get the new employees on staff, often having to negotiate higher salaries to lock someone down. And we are going to start getting closer to a 1-to-1 ratio, which isn't that good for job seekers, but it's really good for the market. Prices can't keep going up if there is more scarcity in the jobs available and more scarcity of labor. So that means that Jerome Powell might slow up on the increase on interest rates, but we will have to see. Where are all the jobs getting lost? Well, let's look at the goods producing sector. There's 2 sectors, goods and services. Goods producing is down 86,000 jobs. People talked a lot about Black Friday breaking annual records, but if you factor in inflation, they were actually more negative compared to last year, and a ton of companies have an overload of stock. I'm sure that you can go look online, find out that Target and Walmart have a lot of inventory of goods that people don't need day to day, like flat screen TVs or something. But if businesses have an overload of product, then we can expect that manufacturing for these products would be reduced. So to break down the goods producing services, mining, which includes utilities, saw an increase of 16,000. I told you guys I thought utilities would be more stable during the recession, and that's turning out to be true. Construction is down 2,000 jobs. There was a big hit to construction jobs during COVID. Unsurprising, people couldn't do their job due to the social distancing rules, and there was a big hit to commercial real estate and multi-family real estate. We did see a bump in single family home construction, but now you can find on the market a lot of recently built homes that are still for sale, or people that were under contract for homes to be built and they pulled out of the contract, so they didn't buy the home. So I could see how construction would be affected by that and have a reduction in jobs. It's not a huge change though. It's manufacturing lost 100,000 jobs. That is a huge loss, and I think a lot of that is due to products not moving as quickly in stores as expected. People simply can't afford the inflation like the companies wish they could. The other sector we have is the service producing sector. Now that is going to be where the tech industry sits. Tech produces services, software, vendors that produce services. So this is the tech sector. The first group is transportation and utilities, up 62,000 jobs. Like I told you, utilities will be the most stable sector in the recession, and the numbers are showing it. The tech industry is broken down to 2 little categories. First one being information. That is a part of tech, but that's not all of tech. We see a loss of 25,000 jobs. Now, there's a lot of discussion around what information means. I tend to think that it means dealing more with like the hardware versus software, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Financial activities, that's investment companies, saw a loss of 34,000 jobs, and that's not shocking. In my layoff videos, I've consistently seen investment companies laying off or going out of business. Not shocking when the stock market is both in a bear market and changing daily. There's a lot less need for people to advise on how to invest in the stock market when it's clearly not a good time to invest, and people simply don't have as much money to invest. Credit card debt is as high as ever. People have been spending more than ever on their car loans, so I'm not shocked to see that. The other part of tech is professional and business services, down 77,000 jobs. That's a pretty big loss, and that would be the tech industry. Professional services include cloud consulting companies, software that automates businesses or business duties. In my layoff videos, I've seen a lot of these vendor companies laying off that are providing services to businesses, like a recruiting company, payroll automation, logistics automation. I've been seeing these companies lay off, and in November alone, there was a loss of 70,000 jobs. Next, we have education and health services, saw an increase of 55,000 jobs. I do think that reflects the aging population in America. The boomers, they're no longer the largest generation, but they're certainly quite big. And as they get older, we can expect a higher need for health services. And then we have leisure and hospitality, which accounted for a majority of the job growth in America, with 224,000 new jobs. I think part of that is recovering from COVID. This past summer, we saw a ton of people go on vacation. Well, they were finally able to go on vacation, able to travel abroad or travel throughout the country. So a lot of Airbnb investors saw some pretty consistent bookings during that time. And I think this is reflecting that. The hospitality industry still hasn't fully recovered from COVID. So this is a sign that maybe they are recovering, but there is no doubt that the economy is slowing down, like I've been telling you guys. How does this affect your pay? Well, there's two types of pay growth on the ADP report. We have job stayers, people who stay at their job, but their salary just increases with time. They've seen a growth of 7.6%, while the job hoppers have seen a monthly growth of 15.1%. I don't think this will be so uneven as we go into the future. I've already seen on the market that job hoppers are no longer being rewarded for hopping from a job, especially people who only stay at a company for a year or a year and a half. I would consider those job hoppers, and I would expect for them to see slower salary growth going into next year. It's pretty easy for people to get a higher salary changing jobs. They can simply just lie about how much money they made at their old job, but job stayers are still seeing an increase. Who is seeing the most salary growth? Well, the top three are trade, transportation, utilities at an 8.1% salary growth. That's pretty good. Like I told you, utilities are going to be fine. Next, we have natural resources and mining, which kind of has to do with utilities, saw an increase of 7.8%, and financial services, they saw an increase of 7.8% as well. I am not quite sure why they're seeing a salary increase. Possibly the ones that didn't get laid off are being retained with higher salary, but where is the slowest salary growth? Well, first we have construction at 6.8%. That's a major concern for cities that have a ton of construction, like Dallas, Denver, California in general, New Jersey, Tennessee. These places have a lot of construction going on and are just general construction oriented areas due to either growth or renewal of the areas. Dallas has seen a ton of growth. Denver, while they might be seeing some growth in businesses, they actually have consistently had more people moving away from Denver to Denver. So I do think Denver is going to hurt with this drop in salary prices. Next, we have professional services and business services. That's the tech industry. They saw an increase of 6.8%. That's proof that tech salaries are slowing down. If you watch my channel, I've been telling you guys that tech salaries are going to slow down. Not everyone believes me, but now the numbers show it. Next, we have education and healthcare saw an increase of 7.2%. And I do think there might be a factor of healthcare seeing huge salary increases due to COVID. There's been a huge increase in traveling nurses due to the scarcity of labor in healthcare. It is a big problem. There's not enough people in healthcare to maintain the demand of the aging population we have. And then the information sector saw an increase of 7.3%. So it's definitely not on the high end, but it's not too bad. What does this overall mean for you in the tech industry? Well, definitely tech salaries are not going to be increasing like they have the past 2 years. Things in stores might get cheaper, except for food. It seems like food is inevitably going to increase until we fix some of the problems in logistics or transportation. I'm not an expert on food. I'm talking about tech here, and I would expect some things in stores to lower in price, like those flat screen TVs that didn't sell on Black Friday. Other things to consider: a third of real estate professionals right now cannot afford their rent. There is a drop in the market for private planes and private cars. We're already seeing a minor drop in housing prices. We saw a month-over-month 1% drop in housing prices. The last time that we saw a 1% drop month over month was in 2009, and we did not bottom in the housing market until 2011. So that's a pretty big deal. 1% drop in 1 month annualizes to 12% drop per year, which is a big deal. The stock market moves way faster than the housing market. So that is a good sign for people that want to buy a house at a lower price, but it's not a good sign for real estate companies. And in general, it looks like inflation numbers are heading back to where they were in September. So inflation is lowering a little. I personally think, this is my prediction, that we are going to experience deflation going into next year, simply because a ton of people are getting laid off. There's a lot less interest for higher price products, and in general, people are less willing to spend money when it seems like the market's not doing well. Well, what does this mean for you if you work in the tech industry trying to get a job? I highly suggest to not leave your job until you have to, until you get laid off or fired. This is not a really good time to job hop. I mean, if you have a stellar resume and a ton of experience, you're always going to have plenty of mobility. But if you are junior to mid-level, do not quit your job. If you are looking for a job, please lower your expectations a little bit. If you live in Los Angeles and you are expecting a remote only job, well, it's going to be a hard job search for you. You may want to open your mind to going on site 2 to 3 days a week. I would also suggest to keep your salary expectations more moderate. Everyone keeps referencing Glassdoor salary ranges for their salary, but often they are overinflating their experience. For example, someone might have 3 years of experience, but they really didn't have any ownership over the work that they were doing. Well, the salary on Glassdoor may reflect the salary of someone who owned a product end to end for 3 years. So that salary list on Glassdoor is possibly higher than the salary than that person would be able to garner with their experience. So please stop referencing Glassdoor or Payset for the salary. Look at your current salary, factor in a 10 to 20% salary increase for the new job, and go from there. It is so easy for me to reject someone based on salary, and I think it'll be more and more common for you, the job seeker, to be asked your salary before you can even get an HR screen. So be a little bit more realistic about your salary, be realistic about remote, and don't deny a job offer for petty reasons, like let's say you don't like what the company does, or maybe it doesn't seem as exciting and you want to keep playing the market. Well, I would highly suggest to not try to play the market. The job market is going to keep getting more and more difficult. I've only seen the number of candidates increase and the number of people that I bring into the interview process decrease over the past few months, and I would expect that to continue into next year. I do think we will still see layoffs next year for companies that haven't yet realized that their profits are going to be reducing during the recession, but that's just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment below. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.